Hello, this is Dan Alford, and you're listening to Dan's Cadre of Experts. Got an interesting guest on today, Joe Betar. I met him about a year ago, and he was so convincing I joined his club. Thank you for coming on today, Joe.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you having me.
What club is that?
So it's known as Houston Safari Club Foundation. It's an organization that's been around now this year 50 years, and it truly did start as a club. A bunch of guys that love to hunt and love the outdoors and love to travel, and it's grown. Over the past 50 years, we've expanded what we do and how we do it.
All right, back up a little bit. Let's talk. I want to hear about you. How did you get into this gig? Is this like the dream job? Or?
Yeah. So I've been the executive director of Houston Safari Club Foundation and Houston Safari Club for about 9 years as of last June.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My background is actually in the medical field. I am a registered nurse dealing in cardiac care. And I worked in the medical device industry after I practiced nursing on the floor. A gentleman that ran the company I worked for bought an outdoor company and hired me and basically said, I need you to go over there and run it, fix it. I bought this company, so that's how I ended up in the outdoor world. And then several years later, Houston Safari Club called me up and said, hey, we're looking for an executive director. Are you interested in coming to Houston? I said, let me come talk to you guys. And it's the rest is history. I've been here ever since.
Excellent.
Yep.
Well, I always find it interesting how people's paths through their careers go. Mine is linear.
Right.
I've been doing the same thing forever. So you guys that are able to deviate from one to another, that kind of impresses me.
Yeah, I tell this. People say, well, "What's your background?" And I tell them, all the things I've done, from being head of marketing for a medical device manufacturer to medical sales to being a nurse and that sort of thing. And they're like, "Wait a minute, you did what, when?" And I have to kind of walk them through it. So this guy knew I had a passion for the outdoors, that I love to hunt and fish. I've done it all my life, and he said, "Look, you've got the marketing and operational background to do this job," and so he kind of pushed me in that direction to head out into the outdoor world.
Well, as soon as you say hunting, I think probably a bunch of people clicked off on us, but it's so much more than just the hunting,
right?
And that's why I've got you on today.
Right.
So, explain to me what HSC is. It's already two organizations, right?
Yeah, there's so Houston Safari Club is. Houston Safari Club itself is a 501c4. That branch of the organization deals strictly with policy and legislation at home, state, federal level, as well as policy abroad, dealing with things that are happening in other countries. Because, hunting and conservation affects U.S. residents, whether you're outbound or inbound, whether you're going to those countries or whether you're here coming to hunt in the U.S. There's a lot of issues with trade and imports and that sort of thing, and
transporting guns. I remember
transporting guns.
We had a little problem with that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and transporting guns. So the 501c4 Houston Safari Club is strictly dedicated towards policy and legislation. Then the other side of it is the 501c3, which is known as the Houston Safari Club Foundation. And the foundation encompasses our membership, our magazine publication division. We do several branches of media, digital, print, radio as well. And so our membership, the magazine, our convention, our monthly events, all of those fall under the C3. So,
all right, I know you're proud of the magazine because you've won a few awards. So go ahead and tell us a little about that. And to be candid, I enjoy it when I get it.
The magazine, we almost call it a coffee table book. It's published quarterly. We have won several awards over the past couple of years. It is, we've won Communicator Awards and Marcom Awards and that sort of thing. And it's really not about the awards. It's kind of that reverse psychology. We don't hear any complaints about the magazine. We send it out quarterly. It's printed here in Houston, Texas, and people keep it. It stays. They collect them. They call me up and say, "Oh, I lost June of 2017. Do you have a copy that I can get?" We'll send them a copy. But we're very proud of it. It's a very high quality magazine, and it's a magazine that, my focus when I came here 9 years ago was, it's about hunting, but it's more than that. It's about shooting. It's about having a medical background. I wanted a triage article in it every month, field triage. I wanted to have information about how to train for, high intensity hunts. I'm a foodie. I love cooking. I love eating. I wanted a culinary article in it, so I wanted it to be almost a lifestyle magazine that's really centered around the outdoors and hunting, and that's what it is. It's always been a phenomenal magazine. I think we've stepped up, taken it to the next level, and And so, we're very, very proud of it.
Well, don't quit printing it. I'm a print guy.
Yeah.
So
We won't, and we're not going to, as expensive as it is to print and ship, we're not going to sacrifice on the quality. You know, it's a real high quality magazine, high paper stock, and that sort of thing. So we will absolutely keep printing it. Yep.
I came over to the headquarters, which is not far from the H.A.T studio here,
Right.
and we were talking with a fellow from South Africa, wasn't it?
Yep.
And that was a fascinating program, and that's just one example of the conservation programs that you guys are supporting.
Yep.
But I was very intrigued with that because it's easy to say that the best way to conserve animals in Africa is to stop poaching. But to do that means stopping people from eating.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's easy to say. We'll just put more guns on the ground and stop poachers. But the system that you guys were working with, I was impressed.
Yeah.
Would you explain that to me?
So the 501c3 side, the foundation side, it's kind of like a three-legged stool. Kind of our trademark program is our scholarship program. Our scholarship program is designed to provide scholarships to students that are majoring in outdoor majors, wildlife management, range management, biology. We scholarship $125,000 a year to declared majors in those fields. The second piece is youth.
Back up. Who's eligible for that? In case there's somebody listening.
Texas residents or students that are enrolled in an accredited Texas university.
Okay, is there a subject matter limitation on this?
Yeah, outdoor management related, usually biology, range management, wildlife management, and associated majors at both the undergraduate and the graduate and advanced degree level.
Before we go any further, so how would somebody find more about that?
Then go to the website at wehuntwegive.org and click on the Giving Back button, and you'll see a scholarship drop-down button. And we take applications once yearly, and we usually award those around the June-July timeframe.
Do you always give them out?
Always.
Okay, good.
Always. Typically, we have more applications than we have money to give. We're growing that program year to year, and we hope to be able to award more scholarships. But on average, we award $6,000 scholarships, and it's unique in that, of course, it's towards that dedicated field or specialty. But it's also we write a check that goes to the student. It doesn't go to the university.
I like it.
So the student applies. They have letters of reference from their academic advisors. They have to show that they're involved in the outdoors from a recreational standpoint. They have to fill out the forms. It's really pretty quick as far as filling out the information, provide transcripts. But a lot of our students that receive those scholarships are at the master's level, PhD level. It is available to undergraduates. But, if a student has committed themselves to that level of study and they've advanced to that point, we know realistically they're probably starting families at that point in their lifetime. They're probably starting, they're doing the field research study. So we feel that it's important for us to give that check directly to that student who's passed the criteria, who's deserving of that scholarship. And if they want to buy books or if they want to buy fuel to go do their field research project, that's fine. But we know they're committed. And the other thing is we follow up with them. We print 2 updates from those scholarship students a year in the magazine. So we follow them over the next year to see if they're using that money wisely and where they're studying and how far they're advancing. And we also invite those students to come to our annual convention every January, and they get to come in and meet our membership and get up on stage, and we recognize them for their award.
No better place to invest in America's future. Give me a couple examples of fields of study that would qualify.
Oh gosh, we've seen kids. I say kids because I'm an old man. We've seen students that come in that have studied everything from the delicate nature or the balance of the Katy Prairie to studying quail to studying migration habits of ocelot. Mountain lion, mule deer. I mean, you name it. It's sometimes I read these things they're studying, like, where did you come up with that? It's pretty amazing. But they do a variety of different studies, and a lot of these students we've seen that have been scholarship recipients have come back to become thought leaders and key opinion leaders and key decision makers in at the university level, at the state and federal wildlife agency level, at advanced research levels. We're really proud of that program because we've seen these people come back, and we've actually had instructors now that are recommending students that were scholarship recipients from us.
Wow.
So now they're seeing that next generation come in like, you need to apply for Houston Safari Club scholarship because they can really help you. So that's been really, really great. The second leg, as we were talking about before, is youth education. We do about take about 100 kids on hunting and fishing trips a year. These are students that would never had these opportunities before. They learn firearm safety. They get their hunter's education. Then we take them out in the field to give them that experience. Then we send them home with meat, because a lot of these students come from lower socioeconomic groups, and we send them home with a protein source. I mean, we take them out in the field, and we teach them what it's all about, and we send them home with basically several months of venison or hog or whatever that may be. And then
meat doesn't always come from the store, does it?
No, and that's what's pretty cool to see them going, wait a minute, that's what hamburger is made out of, or that's what sausage is made out of. And then we bring in about 250 area high school students to our convention every year for a half day of career exposure. They get to meet people that are operating, functioning, making a living in the outdoor industry. Everything from gunsmiths to Texas Parks and Wildlife personnel, you name it, they get to meet these people, and they get to go to course breakouts and meet them and talk about careers in the outdoor industry. And then the third part of it is conservation grants, which is kind of going to where we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. We do grants at home and abroad. We do everything from helping fund translocation of desert bighorn sheep in West Texas and mule deer and pronghorns, to helping build water wells, or supporting wildlife projects in Africa and other countries. I mean, there's really no limits. There's no requirements from where those conservation grants are going. They just have to follow the criteria, really, of our mission statement, is to promote and protect the future of hunting through conservation and education. As long as they meet that main qualifier, and we do ask for specific information as far as what the grant is for, how it's going to be used, what their budget is. We want to see the fiscals in order to be able to support that, and then we do those. We're unique in that some organizations and companies, they look at grants once or twice a year. We do it every month. Good. So you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait 6 months to find out if your grant's been approved. We do it every month throughout the year. So that's really unique. Your earlier question, you were talking about the poaching and those sorts of things, and the meat.
Instead of just discouraging poaching,
right,
you encouraged lifestyles which didn't require poaching.
Right.
Through the creation of schools, hospitals,
yep,
and modern agricultural
yep,
technology. I thought that was brilliant.
So the gentleman you're probably referring to, we've had a couple of people come speak on this specific example. I think it's one of the best models out there for curbing poaching and getting engagement in local communities. Mark Haldane, who runs Zambezi Delta Safaris in Mozambique,
yes,
acquired this piece of land after the war. There was war in that country for years and years and years. And when it was all said and done, the wildlife population was decimated, mm-hmm, from troops hunting animals for protein sources, to non-management of wild game species, to, there were, and it's unsubstantiated, but there's even been rumors of people witnessing Russian gunships flying in and just mowing down herds of Cape buffalo during that war in Mozambique. Mark Haldane, who runs the Zambezi Delta Outfitters, and it's not a commercial for Mark, I'm just telling you this is a great model. He partnered with the Wildlife Alliance, Ivan Carter's Wildlife Alliance, and what they did is Mark acquired a large concession over there, and basically said, this is beautiful property, but it's been decimated. I want to bring it back to life. And I'm oversimplifying here, but of course the game populations were down and the poaching was still a problem in those areas. So what Mark did is he saw that poachers were basically being either captured, taken to prison, or shot. And he said, there's got to be a better way. I can't send my professional hunters and my staff out in the field every day and risk life and limb to do this in good conscience. I can't do it. So what he did is he started talking to the local tribal chiefs, and he started talking to the local communities. And he said, you know what? He said, why don't we take some of your folks who we know are poachers and put them on salary? And so what they did is they took these guys, who better to hunt and track poachers or stop poaching problem than poachers,
yep,
or former poachers. And they started incorporating these guys into their business model. And next thing you know, a few years go by, and other poachers are coming in, walking into camp, walking to these places and turning in their snares and saying, I need to support my family. If I become part of your crew, will you pay me?
And that's all they're trying to do.
And that's all they're trying to do is make a living. You hear about the bush meat trade and these wet markets and meat markets and things like that. These people are trying to eke out a living. That's what they're there for. And trust me, they're getting pennies on the dollar for their bosses. When they get everything from ivory to bush meat and that sort of thing, they're not getting much money. These guys that are in the field that are poaching these animals. So here's a chance to quote unquote reform and become legitimate parts of society. And the guys at H.A.T, MBZ Delta Safaris, Mark Aldane and his crew, they've done that. They've converted these people. And the other thing that's been really cool, Dan, is that they like I said before, they got the buy-in of the tribal leaders out of respect and out of understanding of that society and culture. They went to these tribal chiefs and said, "We want to help your people, and we want to help your people thrive." And so they've hired them to work for them as anti-poaching patrols. But they've done something else that's really unique. They've taken large swaths and sections of their property, and they've turned them into agricultural areas. And what's happened is these tribal citizens have come to those areas and they become farmers. And then they become people who get wells, water wells, and they have schools, and they have. So what they've done is they've not forcefully relocated these people. They've said, if you guys could just move a little bit and help us out here, we will help sustain your populations through agriculture and schools and healthcare and all these things. And what they've done is it's been a whole paradigm shift, for lack of a better word. They've changed the model over there of. They haven't changed their traditions, and they haven't changed their history. They've changed the way anti-poaching and wildlife management and species management is occurring by creating communities around it that understand now that there's a value to maintaining these species that's greater to shooting them and selling them off in the illegal markets. That's I'm oversimplifying, but they've built whole communities around that.
No, I thought it was brilliant. Why coerce when you can cooperate?
Right. Yep. Exactly. And that's it's who was it? Well, Ivan Carter said, I heard him in a speech many years ago. He said, "Look," he said, "let me explain it to you in the simplest form. If people in the United States stop eating baked potatoes and French fries, farmers would no longer farm potatoes."
Right.
They
may go extinct.
There's no value to it. It becomes a commodity. It is a commodity, but there's value to it because, trust me, I like to eat good French fries. I like a good baked potato with my steaks. And if you mirror that to animals, especially in places like Africa, it's the same thing. If they become a commodity, if they lose their value, nobody's going to pay to pump water on those concessions. Nobody's going to pay to maintain them. You don't have a lot of aid from the government's there, and that's, I'm not criticizing the government's there, but it's just a fact that a lot of these guys who run hunting operations and photo safari operations or tourism operations, that comes out of their pocket. They pay to protect those animals. They pay to feed them during the drought and water them during the drought. It doesn't come from, there's no large government funding projects to bail them out like there is in our country and some other countries. It's like every man for himself. And so the economic impact, the millions, the hundreds of millions of dollars that hunting brings to that country not only helps to keep those species alive, and I've never met people that are more passionate and more committed to keeping rhinos and elephants and giraffes and all these threatened and endangered species alive than people who run hunting operations. I've witnessed rhino relocation and rhino breeding programs over there. And these are people paying thousands and thousands of dollars US that know they will never hunt a rhino on their property, but they want to keep that species alive. And that's why they do it. And so they're trying to eliminate the model of commodity and hunting for profit and that sort of thing by tying conservation and hunting together in its most intimate form. And that's what they're doing a great job at.
Yeah, going to Africa on $10 a day is not paying for all this.
Right.
Yeah. So do you have any numbers on how much income it brings into Africa? It's huge, right?
Yeah, it's. I know it probably the last reports I saw were over close to $1 billion a year just from hunting. That's when people look at it and go, oh well, let's convert it to. And listen, I probably shot more photography last time I was in Namibia than I did animals. Way more. I like to shoot animals with a camera. I like to hunt. I make no apologies about that. But the photo safaris and things like that, they just don't bring the money in there that hunters do.
And so for the antis out there that are listening, I think it's very interesting, and you got to understand this, that the animal that has the least value to the herd genetically
Right.
is the old bull,
Right.
who is no longer viable. He's been kicked out of the herd, but he
Right.
also happens to have the biggest horns. He has the most value to the hunter.
Right.
And which makes it the most value to the country and the continent, if you can have someone hunt it.
Yeah, yeah, and and the other thing is with these older animals, whether you're talking about, rhino, giraffe, whatever the animal is, a lot of times, to your point, they are the more aggressive animals, but they're beyond breeding age,
Right.
So they're not really sustaining the herds. Mm-hmm. So those guys do a really good job of aging animals on the hoof, watching these herds, and knowing the ones that they really need to hunt, and hunting mature animals so they can proliferate the population that's coming, the next generation that's coming behind it. I have a great amount of respect for what those people do. I think the North American model of wildlife conservation, which we've seen since the days of Teddy Roosevelt, in the U.S., billions and billions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of jobs are supported by the hunting industry and people that want to go outdoors, and even more so with the fishing side of it as well. When Teddy Roosevelt was around, wild turkey, white-tailed deer were pretty sparse.
I never saw, growing up in Texas, I didn't see a wild turkey till I was in my teens.
Yeah, and I grew up in Louisiana, and we barely, very seldom saw white-tailed deer.
Now I see dozens.
Yeah,
I'm delighted.
Yeah, the North American model is being carried over to those countries. The other thing I want to talk about, Dan, was a lot of those guys over there, they do supplemental breeding, just as we do supplemental breeding here in the U.S., and they have phenomenal breeding programs to keep these species going on a variety of different levels. And the U.S. is seeing that, especially in Texas. You're seeing that with exotics. It frustrates me when people say, "Oh, you can't hunt that animal in Texas because in India they're a threatened species, or they're almost endangered." Well, look at the model in Texas. Look at the model in the United States. The North American model of wildlife conservation is the reason a lot of these animals that you're seeing disappear in other countries, they're living because of the efforts and thriving in Texas because of the efforts of breeders and the North American model of wildlife conservation. And so there's a lot of exchange of information and research and money between these different countries. And I think I think the future is bright for wildlife species in general if we all just keep communicating. And you're never going to convert somebody who's adamantly anti-hunting, but the people who are on the fence, that are not anti-hunting, but are like, yeah, it's okay. But, I've talked to more people over the past, 10 to 15 years that listen to people like Ivan Carter, like you heard, and people talking about the H.A.T 11 project and that sort of thing, that have said, even after our convention, we've had banquets, and I've invited my friends who are not hunters to come to the banquet. And they walk out of there that evening, they go, I get it. I may not ever hunt an animal, but I will write a check to your organization to support the efforts that are being discussed here because I believe in the proliferation of wildlife species. And now you're seeing more and more people that they're seeing the factory farming videos on Netflix and it's scaring them, that sort of thing. And they're going to source their own protein in the outdoors. And they're like, can you teach me how to hunt? Can you teach me how to shoot, birds or whatever? They may never do big game hunting, but they're like, I want to go out and source my own protein. So those conversations are being had. We need to have them every day and all the time and more with people. But there's a lot of positive out there as far as talking about hunting as a conservation tool and the management of wildlife species and habitat management as well.
Well, that's how I came to this. I'm also a member of the Exotic Wildlife Association here in Texas, and on my ranch we've had 9 giraffes born. We've had no giraffes hunted. We sell them; they're never hunted.
Yep.
But so we're doing our part to keep giraffes alive. We also have barrasinga, which are endangered. We never sell them. I just feed them. We have a pear David, and these pear David are actually extinct. I love going to the ranch and saying, "You see those animals? They're extinct."
Yeah.
In China.
Yep.
Not in Texas.
Yep.
And so, in the Exotic Wildlife Association, our phrase is conservation through commerce.
Yes.
And it's exactly what you're describing here.
Yep.
And that's why I went on safari. I wanted to see what giraffes look like in Africa because I knew what they look like here in Texas.
Right.
And I can tell you, they look just the same. They'll kind of stare at you.
Yep.
The only difference is the ones in Texas will drool because they're hoping you bring them apples.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, the first time I saw giraffes in the wild, I was shocked because it just cracked me up because they run, they don't look like they're running very fast, but they move pretty quickly. And they get behind these trees. And they'll lean out on one side and they're like, he can't see me now. I'm like, I can see every bit of you. They think they're hidden behind this little stick, but they're very cool animals, very cool animals.
So I went once to Namibia,
Okay.
and I thought, I'm going to just do this once, check the box, never go back. I've been back several times. I'm telling our audience, when I was growing up, I didn't think safaris would exist in the 21st century.
Yep.
But they do.
Yep.
And I've had so much fun on several continents around the world. And so I'm telling people it's still a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing. And, the safari, safari people get the image, well, I have to go to Africa or South Africa or Namibia or wherever. Safari is really a journey. Safari is a journey and an adventure. And they don't use that term here in the U.S., but you can go on safari, go and hunt mule deer out in Colorado. That's really kind of a safari. So it's really an adventure. But the nomenclature and the images tied to going to Africa. And I've time and time again, I've had conversations with people, and the thing they say is after they go one time, it's not if you'll go back, it's when you go back. And for me, it was, your brain can only take in so much, but just every time you turn, like, well, that's cool. I've never seen that before. That's a new animal. I've never seen a sunset that looks like that, or I've never met people like that.
Right, the people are fascinating.
The people are fascinating, and their commitment. The native people, their commitment to it. Preserving wildlife and habitat. It's and the things you learn, the trackers and the pHs. I'm like, the way they study and they know these animals and their habitats.
It is truly a foreign country.
It's crazy.
All the techniques are different. When in Rome.
Yep. They'll walk by a bush and they'll look at a piece of hair and go, no, that's not from the animal you're hunting. How do you know? Well, that's old, it's aged, or, that's from this animal or that animal. They'll look at the footprint and tell exactly what direction they've run to. It's
whether
just,
they're moving quickly. I love watching them work.
Yeah, I learned so much not that I could duplicate it, but I just learned so much for watching them. I'm just in awe of those people over there. And, and that's the thing, you and I have talked about this several times. That's the thing. People, when they say, oh, Houston Safari Club, Houston Safari Club Foundation, I'm sure you thought the same thing. Starting off, it's, well, I don't live in Houston. I'm never going to go on quote unquote safari. So why would I want to join and become a member? And I always tell people, if you look at the studies, less than 5% of the U.S. population ever goes to Africa for any reason each year.
That's a shame, but it's reality.
It's a shame. Once you go, you're going to want to go back. But the thing is, we've had this name for forever. We've had the elephant logo for forever, but it doesn't really represent who we are. We have most of our members are people who don't do anything more than hunt quail in South Texas. Some of them only whitetail hunt in the U.S. Some of them are bow hunters that only go after big game. It's a very diverse group and population that are members of this organization. So for those of you watching and listening, if you hear the name Houston Safari Club or Houston Safari Club Foundation, you don't have to be from Houston. You don't have to go on safari. 9 times out of 10, I talk to people who are members who have never been on safari before in the classical term of going to Africa. They just want to support and be part of an organization that offers networking opportunities from a business standpoint. They get to meet new hunting buddies, both men and women. We have a women's group, Gazelles, who is strictly, these are women who love the outdoors. We have a young professionals group that are up-and-coming people that are going to be our next professional leaders, ages 21 to 39. They get together and network together. They're all part of this organization, and it really makes us who we are as people from all walks of life, all socioeconomic levels, who love different things about the outdoors, that want to give back. They want to support education. They want to support conservation around the world, and they want to support scholarship and young adults who are coming up that want to be part of the outdoor lifestyle.
And it all comes together each year.
Yep.
At your annual convention.
Yep.
And this is always it's at George R. Brown nowadays.
Yep. George R. Brown. Yeah, we do something every month. We do stuff we have speaker events and we have outdoor shooting events. We're going to do a quail shoot again next year with a crawfish boil. We do a tower pheasant shoot. We do a lot of stuff out. Every month we have something for members, and we invite non-members to come too and sign up to hopefully become a member or just to meet other people. But the big convention is every year. This year it's going to be January 20th through the 22nd of 2023 at the George R. Brown Convention Center. Center. We have a 3-day expo with over 250 exhibitors there from all over the world, everything from hunting gear to hunts to fishing trips, outdoor equipment. And then we cap it off. We have big banquets on Friday night and Saturday night at the Hilton that's adjacent to it, Hilton Americas Houston. And then our ladies group, the Gazelles, has a big luncheon on Saturday. It starts around 10:30 or 11 and runs till around 1:30 or 2. Live auctions, banquets, silent auctions. We have presentations and that sort of thing. It's a fun event. It really is. A lot of work, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of work for you. It's easy for us, but at a minimum, they should come walk the show.
Yeah.
And that's cheap, right?
$10.
Okay.
And active military with ID is free, and young people 12 and under get in free, but it's $10 to walk in through the door. And it's a fun time. It really is.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoy it. But I've gotten to where now, and I know so many people.
Yeah.
It's a chance.
Probably hard for you to get across the floor.
Well, no, it's like a reunion with my friends from New Zealand and Spain and Africa.
And really, that's what it is for everybody. It's a reunion. I mean, I see people I haven't seen in a year. I look forward to reconnecting with, whether it's outfitters or whether it's just other people I haven't seen around. Houston Safari Club Foundation events. It really is. It really is kind of like a family reunion every year.
Mm-hmm. Great people, and I know one year you had some researchers that were doing some stuff on Chagas disease.
Yep.
And we brought them over, so they were testing people's blood. It's something that's seldom known about, but it's one of the leading causes of heart disease in Central America. And I applaud you for having that booth at the show.
Yeah.
And
well, we laugh. I talked to Nancy Oka, who runs our exhibits for us, basically runs the entire convention. And, we'll get applications in from exhibitors that are offering foot massagers and things like that. No. We don't sell gutters and aluminum siding and foot massagers, but we do have a pretty diverse group there. If it falls into the outdoor world, it can affect the outdoor, people who enjoy the outdoors in some way, we'll invite them in to become exhibitors. But you're not going to come to the show and walk the show and see people trying to sell foot massagers at that show. It's all outdoor focused. Yeah.
Interesting. So that you said late January.
January 20th through the 22nd. Yeah. We open on Friday and shut down on Sunday afternoon.
Okay. So that'd be a good way to get involved.
Oh, yeah. And there's going to be a membership booth on the floor, right in the center of the floor. Just come over and sign up.
Y'all are right. You plant yourself right in the center of it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So they look for you, or who do they look for?
Look for the big membership flag from the top of the seal. And then we I'm glad you brought that up, because we're a very lean organization staff-wise. We rely greatly on our volunteers. So we have volunteers that work the registration desk and the membership booth and help us with move in and move out. And if anybody's watching or listening and wants to get involved, call us at the office, or go to the website and click on the volunteer button. We can sign you up to be a volunteer during convention.
And as I recall, you have a podcast too.
I do. Yeah, we do one weekly called Hunting Matters, or Hunting Matters, depending on who we're talking to and how you want to say it. But yeah, we do it. It's aired on the local iHeartMedia affiliate on the radio on Saturday mornings on KPRC 950, and then we run it to most of the major podcast platforms after that.
So it's on Spotify and all that.
Spotify is the only one it's not on.
Right. Okay.
It's on everything else, because we run it. We produce it out of iHeart Studio.
Oh, I see.
And I guess iHeart and Spotify don't play with each other. Yeah, they're not buddies on the playground. So, but we enjoy doing that. It's 45 minutes to an hour. We talk a variety of different topics. It's not just hunting. It can be a variety of different topics related to the outdoors.
Yeah. What else do you want to tell us about this organization?
I love it. I love being the executive director. I love what we stand for. I love the people that we get to meet. And, part of my job is fundraising and begging for money, basically, so we can support all those outreach. And, our sponsors and people who buy ads in the magazine and sponsor convention and sponsor monthly events, they're the ones who really make it possible. Our corporate sponsors, our convention sponsors, all those people, they're the ones who help to make it possible. So part of my job is to manage fundraising and manage outreach, which is just part of the gig. But I get to meet some really cool people through what I do, and that's what it's all about. It's from a corporate level, organizational level. It's like sitting around the campfire in hunting camp, or if you're out fishing and you're making a shore lunch when you're out on a fishing trip somewhere. It's the same thing. You meet some really cool people. You make lifelong friends, and I get to do that in my job on a daily basis, and that's probably one of the best things I love about it. And I'm still learning. I'm still learning about the outdoors. I just still learning about hunting in Africa, and if I find myself where I'm not challenged, and I don't enjoy meeting people, and I can't learn, then I know I'm doing something wrong, because this role and this organization offers opportunities on a daily basis to grow and to learn and to meet really cool new people.
Well, if we haven't accomplished anything else, hopefully the listeners will know that the Houston Spark Club is more than just shooting big game in Africa. You know, you've got the conservation projects, you've got the education projects, all these things. And if you want to get involved, like I said, I think the convention's the best way to start.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, convention. Volunteer. Just get volunteer, meet other people, meet our board members, meet other members,
and walk the show.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, an added benefit if you're a volunteer, you know, we do it. We're one of the few organizations to do this. I think we actually have a big Thursday night party before convention kicks off, and it's free to our volunteers and free to all of our exhibitors, and we get together and socialize the night before convention officially starts on Thursday night. And so, yeah, it's a great opportunity. People can go to the website at wehuntwegive.org and click on the volunteer button and get signed up.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yep.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on today.
Appreciate it.
Probably ought to do this on an annual basis or something.
Awesome.
I really like to hear about your projects in Africa as well as here in the States. So let's see if we can get you back on again.
I'd love to.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Dan.